she's looking at it really curiously. And I come out and she goes, there are women in here with penises. Oh. And I went, okay, so the lesbian daughter is going to explain to the mom about trans sex workers.
You are listening to What's Next? Conversations with Boomers, and I'm your host, Barb Desmarais. So we are recording in early June, and June happens to be Pride Month. And because this is a podcast for boomers, I have a friend, an actual neighbor, who is a boomer and a gay woman. And I thought, what better person to talk about how the whole LGBTQ plus evolved from as far back as she can remember, sort of what her experience was coming out and how things have evolved over time. So I want to welcome Candace Macpherson onto the program.
Hey, Barb.
Hey! So Candace is actually, we're in the same building, so she's just a few floors up. And we bump into each other all the time with our dogs.
Doug who always goes to your gate now that you've fed him. Now that you've given him treats.
Yeah, I made the mistake of feeding him. Now he wants to come and visit all the time. Anyway, so Candace, tell us, share only what you want to share, but you were born in the early 60s, correct?
Yeah, 62.
1962.
In Vancouver.
In Vancouver.
North Van, moved to West Van, and had a great upbringing. My parents were teachers. Well, my mom was a teacher and then stopped working when I was a kid and went back to work when I was 9. Lived right by Hillside High School, which is looked over the water in UBC and Stanley Park. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful place to live. So
tell me, when did you feel that you were attracted to women?
When you asked me if I wanted to do this, I had to think about this because it's not something I
think about
anymore. I can really remember certainly when puberty hit, but I have to think back before that. And I know that when I was a little kid, I had crushes on girls and boys. But I don't even know if I knew the term crushes when I was 7 or 8 or 9. I do remember my neighbor 2 over, David. He had an older sister who was probably, seemed like exotic to me. She was probably 13. And I was 9 or 10 and I had a crush on her. But nothing really hit probably till I was about 15 when I realized that I was attracted to girls, but I also stuffed that away because that was not an okay thing to be.
Right. So say more about that. What was that like for you, having to stuff it away, as you say?
Well, I don't think I thought about it. I just thought that's weird. It wasn't like, oh, this is dangerous, I better hide it. You just intuited this was not a good thing to say because back then, like in the 70s, anything that was gay or different, the word fag was thrown around all the time.
That's right. When we were talking about this, I forgot about that. Right.
Yeah, about someone who was different, but more particularly if a boy was thought to be gay.
Which, of course, that term wasn't even around.
No, that wasn't even used. Fairy be thrown around.
Gay was happy.
Like, it's so weird. And I don't know that much was said about gay women. If it was, then they were a dyke. And then I think what's interesting is around the time we were 16, a girl who had come to our school in grade 10, she came out in grade 11. So that was 1978, 79. And we were all fine with it.
Mm-hmm. How was that? Did she sort of, was it a secret among her friends? How did she kind of come out to everybody?
We were all a basketball team and we all hung out together with this group of people. So this is bizarre. Well, not bizarre, I guess, for the times, but we discovered that her stepfather had been messing with her.
Oh, no.
So I can't remember if he was arrested or what was going on. And then I don't know if she just said it to someone and then we all knew because it went through the grapevine, but she was our friend. We didn't care. But back then to us, it also made sense because as opposed to just being who she is. And in that group of people that I went to school with, there are my really good friend is also gay, and another friend of mine was also gay. There are about four women in that same group. I was never attracted to any of my friends, by the way.
Oh.
Ever. Yeah, it was always older girls. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about coming out to your parents?
Oh, that was fun. I'm being facetious. I came out way later. I didn't act on anything until I was 17, when I was in a very, very brief born-again Christian phase.
Oh.
And at a Christian camp, so praise God, I guess. But I was not okay with it. I was so uncomfortable. I felt like it was wrong, part of it because of what I was going through on the religious end of things. And just, I was afraid because I knew it wasn't okay. I was older by that point and I knew the world didn't like it. So I certainly fell for women along the way, mostly straight. And I didn't come out till I was 29.
So when you say you didn't come out till you were 29, sort of officially?
Yeah, officially, because I was so in love with this one person I'd known for a long time, straight. But it was also needed to be said. So my dad said he didn't know, which is not possible. My mom, quote unquote, had dreaded this for a long time.
Had dreaded it?
Yeah.
In that she felt that you were, but she didn't want to know?
She had known. Oh. So if I look back, I went, oh, so that's why I was no longer allowed to be friends with so-and-so.
Oh.
Because we were so close. So I guess I did have a crush on someone my own age, actually, now that I think about it. And that was probably around the age of 11, 12, when that friend got yanked away. But my parents were not asses in any way. As I said to them, I'm your source of shock and I'm also your source of information. So if you have questions for me, ask me, which my mom did. She took me out for lunch, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks later and asked a bunch of questions. Are men totally out of the picture? And I said, no, they're not. I mean, I like men because there's also this belief back then that if you were a lesbian, you hated men. No matter, you just hated men. It's like, no, not the case, period, and not the case for me. It's really, to me, I said, it's the person I fall for, which could have given her false hope. But, and then, of course, when I ended up with someone for a length of time, they took her in like there was no tomorrow. Like no one had any issue, as did my brother, who is, I don't want to say very religious. I guess he is, but I don't think that's how he'd phrase it. But he's a born-again Christian and has been for decades. And so it was a problem. But again, I was accepted. I can't say I appreciated the way I was accepted, as in everybody sins. I'm going, that's insulting, but yeah.
Yeah, isn't it sad? I mean, how difficult it must have been feeling that you were doing something that was wrong, that was immoral, that was...
It was perverted. And perverted is such a weird word when I hear it now, but... And again, when you asked me to do this, it came to me probably just yesterday. I thought, oh yeah. When I was 29, I started therapy for other reasons. In particular, I couldn't seem to get my life on track in one way. And that's what I thought I need some help. I need some focus. And I remember meeting with him and sitting with him, and he said, so why are you here? And out of my mouth came, I don't want to know I'm gay.
Oh,
I completely forgot that until yesterday.
Really?
I forgot that. And I teared up.
Oh, do you think that's pretty common among, well, even people that come out gay now in the 21st century? Because let's face it, when you're not in the mainstream of anything, life is a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know about now, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you, I'm a total hermit, so I'm not out there in the world anymore at all. But when I was working, I retired about a year and a half ago. My practice had a lot. I was an RMT. I had practice with a number of gay people.
Registered massage therapist, right?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. And one of the people who came was this young lesbian. She was awesome. And I suddenly started to get all these young gay people coming to see me, which was great. And a number of trans people, which I loved. And I loved listening to everybody talk if they were talking, because their experiences were so vastly different than
yours. Yeah.
Not everybody. Some people had a really hard time. Of my friends that I went to school with, I'm pretty sure there wasn't any issue at all with either one of them. I think their families just, okay, that's what's happening, which is relieving. And I told my friends, most of whom already knew, and it was just relieving.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think anyone I knew. My friends are just, wonderful. And I didn't think I would lose any of them, but you still have that fear, that irrational fear.
Am I going to be accepted?
Yeah. I don't know if people, I'm sure in some small towns and other places in the world, I mean, let's face it, you've got an easy, I shouldn't say this. I'll speak for myself. I had an easier time of it being in the place I was.
Oh, yeah. That huge difference being in a city. I grew up in Prince George. Right. And we kind of eventually figured out that this person was, well, in that, in those years, I only knew of men, and I don't even know what we called them. We certainly didn't call them gay.
No.
I guess we said homosexual, but what did we call them? It was, first of all, they were just different. They were, because they weren't in relationships. They kind of talked differently, but it was only, many years later that we realized, oh my gosh, you just couldn't be. You had to be in the closet. And so the ones, I mean, we sort of came to the conclusion that the group that they had their own social life and their own parties and their own this and that. I think, oh my gosh, how things have changed. But, Prince George was one of thousands of small towns through the country. So as you say, being in a city, it's easier, I'm sure.
Like when I grew up, Davie was gay village for gay men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not just gay men, but that's what we saw most of the time. And then Commercial Drive had a lot of the lesbians.
Lesbian, yeah.
There was a place called, run by this amazing, fabulous person called Cynthia, who had a secondhand bookstore called the Book Mantle, and had a coffee bar called the Sisters of Addiction Coffee Bar. So I used to go there, and that's where I sort of got to know all sorts of different lesbians, and it was fabulous. It was really fun to go there, and then I'd just bring, friends with me if we wanted to, straight friends. And one of my best friends to this day, one of my absolute heart friends, Lauren, worked there. Very, very, very straight man from Sayward, but he worked at that bar. He's the one I think I told you that back then, like a straight guy would never admit if they thought a man was attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that was so stupid. Like, you can tell what beauty is.
Right.
Oh, no, what? And Lauren and I were talking about it once. He goes, God, of course I can. I could tell when a guy is good looking. Of course I can. I'm just not physically attracted to them. I don't want to sleep with them.
Mm-hmm.
And he took the seat and he went, I wonder if there's something wrong with me.
And we'll be right back. I just think, who isn't flattered if somebody finds them attractive, regardless of their sexuality? It's really, it's funny. Okay, when did the word gay come about? I don't remember.
I have no
at
idea.
All.
I don't remember either, because you're saying that, and I feel like it's always been around, but it hasn't.
No.
I don't think. It must. You know what? I don't know my history. Sorry, people out there who do. I feel like it must have been out there, because it wasn't it known as the gay disease? When AIDS came, it was known as the gay disease.
Which was early 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is something, I mean, we were very well aware of it, because I graduated in 80, so it was in the news everywhere, and you had Dr. Peter on the TV and
sharing his whole journey having AIDS.
Yeah. And I didn't know, I'm sure I did, but didn't know any gay men at that point. And in fact, I myself only lost one friend, and that was in early 90s, probably. No, sorry, late 90s when it happened. And he was a young man. He had got it when he was 19. And I think he passed when he was 33.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, but I didn't know. Whereas people I met in Toronto, I'm a really good friend of mine there. He and his partner were just finishing going to all the funerals they've been going to forever. And his partner was 10 years older, and he'd lost almost everyone he knew. Yeah.
So kind of describe how you see the evolution of the community being LGBTQ plus. Am I getting all the letters right sometimes?
Sure. This is a problem. I told you this when you said you wanted to talk to me. I said, I don't know if I'm your best bet, Barb, because
you are, because I think you don't participate in the walks, the marches, the events.
Oh, no, not anymore. I went to parades. I was mostly in the straight world. Like when I came out, I was working in film. So obviously a lot of gay people, but mostly straight. My friends were mostly straight. I guess for me, once I was out, I was out. And that's sort of what I've seen with everybody. No one else in my family is gay yet. There are some younger ones, and I don't know if any of them will be. The only way I know it is by people I have met who were younger. I know someone who's 20 years younger than me who had been kicked out of the house briefly when she came out. I don't know how she did end up going back. I don't know how soon. But most of the stories I have, they're not, thank goodness, they're not tragic.
That's really good, because there are a lot of tragic stories.
Because there are a lot of them. Yeah, there was someone who was at that Sisters of Addiction coffee bar who, I can't remember where they were from. Also small town, I think. And their mom wanted to put them into electroshock therapy.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't happen. But in terms of the evolution, all I can tell you is from when I was working with those young people in my practice, they were all loud and proud and activists. Every last
which you never have been. Not that you're not proud, but you don't identify as an activist.
If there's something to stand up for, like, a rally for whatever may be going on. I was actually in Toronto when there were going to be around the country all sorts of anti-SOGI rallies, and there ended up being counter protests, and there was a huge one in Vancouver with everyone, and I would have been there in a nanosecond. Yeah, that kind of thing I'll be there for. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And now, gosh, we have non-binary, which was never, ever, was never a word in the 60s, 70s, 80s. When did that come in there? Early 2000s?
Honestly, I don't remember non-binary. I don't remember when it came out. I'd say early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah. So non-binary, and now we all know of somebody who is non-binary. And I have to say, Candace, I have such a hard time with it. Not that I'm judging it, but to remember to refer to the person as they. I have a sign language student who is non-binary, and they and their mother come on together. And when they are not there, I'm we're talking about them, I'm always forgetting, and then I'm constantly apologizing. And I think, with certainly millennials, the Gen Zers, I think, please understand how new this is for us. This is so, we're trying, we're trying. We really are trying.
But I don't think if someone realizes that you're trying, I would be surprised if they're judging you for it. They can see that you're trying. Great. Everybody makes mistakes. And if you're upfront about it and you don't have to be too, obviously you're saying you're apologizing, great, but you don't have to go overboard, because it's just like, write it on your hand if you need to.
Yeah.
Seriously. But also, you're not in a community that is used to it.
No, I'm not. I not at all. Yeah. And of course, in my community, they is plural. They is more than one.
And it is a mind change. But if you just decide that, okay, I got to remember this, then you'll be okay. We can get stuck in that, but they is plural. Not anymore.
I know.
Not anymore for this. Just not. And okay.
There's been so much change in our lifetime. Radical. I'm in my 70s. So what was normal when I was growing up and well into the 80s, that's gone. The fluidity of sexuality, because what I'm learning now is people are going from straight to gay, gay to straight. And I was telling you the other day, I've seen at least 4 now on TikTok or something. I'm detransitioning. I think about my parents, of course, who've deceased, how they would wrap their head all around this.
Listen, my mom passed almost 13 years ago. She was in a residence because her MS was quite advanced. And I can't believe I'm telling you this story, but she called me up one day. Feel free to cut this if it makes no sense. But she called me up one day, and which was weird because she didn't really use the phone very much anymore. And I thought something was wrong. And I said, hi. She goes, hi, this is really strange, but I'm wondering if I can ask you to do something. I went, she said, I wonder if you can get me one of those magazines, like Playboy, except for women. And I went, my mom is 80 at this point.
Yeah.
81. And I went, like Playgirl? And she went, yeah. And I went, sure, no problem. I don't even know where I'd get one. She goes, anyway, where they sell magazines. I'm like, okay. Anyway, I got one. And I got her one. And I left the room briefly, and I came back, and she's looking at it really curiously. And I come out, and she goes, there are women in here with penises. Oh. And I went, okay, so the lesbian daughter is going to explain to the mom about trans sex workers. And because she was looking in the back. And so I actually told her, do you remember telling me about trans people when I was young? And granted, that was transvestites, but we'd had conversations about trans. And I don't even know where people who are transvestites come into the scenario now. They were not necessarily transgendered. They were not necessarily gay. Anyway, I loved that I was talking to my 81-year-old mother. And then I brought up again my friend in Toronto with her who had transitioned. And she was like, right. So at a certain, depending on who they are, I guess, there can be an openness, even though she wasn't that thrilled with the fact that I was gay. But again, to me, she said a couple of insulting things on occasion to which I would get ticked, but I would catch myself and think, how does she treat me?
Yeah.
How does she treat, this was a long time ago, so how does she treat my partner? Really well. You think what you think. Of course you can. You can have your feelings and your beliefs, just like I can have mine about X, Y, or Z. But how is the person
Please
treating
respect me as I will respect you and your choices.
And very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's important.
And I can only do the same.
Right.
Well, you'd hope everyone would do the same, but come on.
This is what it's all about. I think, thank goodness, even though, as I say, for us, I was born in the 50s, there's just been, an enormous change that we have to gradually adjust to. I just think we are now in a world, and this isn't all over the world, but moving in a direction where people can be who they are. This is, be your authentic self, whatever that is.
Or then you have the backlash, i.e. to the south of us.
Oh, I know. Well, it's scary. We're in 2025, and that's a whole other conversation. Oh my gosh.
I think I told you too that my dad said that they had a couple of gay friends, and I thought, okay, is he just making this up? Because I know your friends, and they're nobody's gay. And so I guess it was maybe people he worked with or something. And he said two guys have been together for a long time. And his comment was, but the good thing is they keep it quiet, that you'd never know.
Oh, that's the good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, not so much the good thing.
Right. Well, that's his generation. That's what you did. And we'll be right back. The term queer was, in our generation, that was, oh, that's queer. That's weird. And now queer, give us the definition, because people ask me a lot, what does queer mean?
No, sorry, I cannot do this for you. I've said this my whole life because it's always confused me. Because again, at the Sisters of Addiction coffee bar, you would have, there was a very excellent, strong, beautiful femme woman. And that we had, femme and butch and soft butch and blah, blah, blah. Back then, I don't know how often that is used. And she said, I'm a diehard lesbian and I'm queer. And I'd ask her repeatedly to tell me what she meant by that, because she is 10 or 11 years younger than me.
So she said she was lesbian and queer.
Yeah. And this is back in it's like 93 or something like that. And I'm like, okay, what? Would I say I'm queer? Sure. Just because it involves, I'm a gay woman. I'd say I'm queer, but that would be my interpretation of it. But to be honest with you, the queerest person I know, again, by my definition, is a straight cis man.
Oh.
Into a great deal of stuff. And
and that's what makes him queer to you.
Absolutely. And he would say he's queer too. He'd say he's queer too. It has nothing, does it have to do with his sexuality? Yes, even though he's straight. Would other people agree with him? I don't know.
Well, even in the straight world, there's variations of people are into all sorts of different things, with an opposite sex partner.
I mean, if you say the queer community, it's everybody.
Everybody, okay.
Everybody, but I wouldn't include straight, interestingly enough. Yeah.
So the term queer is widely used to basically encompass any individuals whose sexual orientation or gender identity is outside of the norms. And I'm using air quotes. So if you're not heterosexual or cisgender, then you fall under that definition of queer. But some people nowadays prefer to use the word queer rather than gay.
Yeah.
Some
or bi.
Queer.
They say queer instead of bisexual.
I feel like bisexuals still use bisexuals. Mainly, I feel like the people who use the term queer, a lot of them tend to be females or female identifying or non-binary.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting world, and I think that it is up to us to embrace everybody who they are. What's important is that we respect each other, and having a different opinion or a different lifestyle doesn't make the person wrong or right. It's just what it is.
You know what? I'll stop you on that one. It's not a lifestyle.
Well, I'm just speaking in general.
That's used a lot.
In this world, we're specifically talking about the LGBTQ community, but outside of that community, there are also people who have very different lifestyle choices than we might have. And
that's outside of their sexuality. So,
yes.
People say being gay is a lifestyle. It's not a lifestyle. I have more in common with a lot of straight people. That like a lifestyle is would you rather go out to a club or would you rather stay home and have a nice meal with someone? Do you want to go to theater? Do you want to go bungee jumping? That's lifestyle. Not who you sleep with or are attracted to.
Right. Yeah, maybe lifestyle was a poor choice.
No, but it's understandable because it's used all the time. But it's driven me nuts for decades.
I'm glad to. Well, let's just say we live in a world where there are all kinds of different life choices that people have. If those choices don't hurt you, and those people are respectful and kind and genuine, let's embrace everybody.
Yeah. Also, most of this for a lot of is not choice. I'm not gay by choice. I'm gay because I'm gay.
Right. Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay, that was a bad choice. That was a bad word. No, of course, nobody chooses.
And it's just a matter of, wait, what is it? I'm just gay because I'm gay.
Right. My understanding is, no, we do not choose our sexuality. If we are attracted to the same sex, we are. That's not something you choose. I think, again, I'm talking kind of in general terms, and I'm putting the LGBT, this is one of many different kinds of communities that we have in the world now, that let's embrace people's the people who they are, people who they genuinely are.
It would be lovely.
But do you think we're moving in that direction, Candace?
Well, considering I've done too much doom scrolling at this moment, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
My world is, really, you can only look at your world, the world in general. I think it will. Oh, that sounds really doomy. I think it will always be a fight. I think there will always be
it sounds like the United States has gone backwards by about 100 years right now. So, what?
Yeah.
Oh. What is going to, how things are going to end up there, who knows?
Very frightening.
It is, yeah. Doom scrolling, yeah, I do too much of that too, and it's depressing and discouraging and all sorts of things.
I have to break out Calvin and Hobbes and start reading it. Cleanse my brain palette.
Yeah. Okay, Candace, is there anything that you want to add that we haven't brought up today in this conversation?
I don't think so, except because there's been some heavy and sad and certain stuff said that the people I know that are gay, and this sounds stupid coming out of my mouth now because it's just so the way things are in my world, that are for the most part happy and content and just living their lives. Out, proud, just living their lives. They're doing well. They're thriving.
Well, that's certainly my experience of any gay person I know. Yeah. They've got great lives.
And grateful for it, because we know how many are not. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for that client of mine. She was awesome for bringing all those young people into my space. It was very, very heartening.
Well, you get in because they knew you were an attentive listener, and people want to be heard and accepted, and you provided that.
Well, I'm grateful too, but it's also just knowing how they were living their young lives. They were 22s, 20 up to 26s or so. It was just like, good for you. Good for you. Taking no guff, as another generation would have said. Yeah.
Taking no guff. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Mela? Is there anything else that we would like to add to this little conversation?
Oh, yeah. So a question for you, Candace.
Yeah.
Do you think that the school system should include queer history in the classroom?
Oh, good question, Mela.
I don't see why not. I can see why a lot of people would argue it. They have a hard enough time with the fact of sexual orientation and gender identity being mentioned in a school and thinking it's an agenda, which blows my mind. If it's relevant, yes, I think it should be. If it's a specific course, I think they'd have a really hard time with it. But of course, I'd be into anyone knowing about the contributions of gay people. Absolutely. Or their struggles. Hello.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Our struggles, I guess I should say. My struggle was not the same as other people's, then or now.
Right. And sometimes I wonder, there are a lot of young people, and I'm talking like the Gen Alphas, like they're like 10 and perhaps younger, that are living their truth in that they, know in their bones, know in their fiber that they are either queer or trans and want to go through that transition, etc. And I just wonder, growing up in this era of, there's queer media, there's so much content of queer personalities to kind of look up to. And for those people who didn't have that growing up, there's this sense of they always say representation matters because then you see yourselves in these characters. So I feel like knowing the history of what your predecessors had to go through.
No, I agree with that. Having representation absolutely matters. I don't think there was anything on TV when I was a kid. I think when I was in 78 or 80 or something like that. No, I was still in high school. So 78, maybe 79, Bette Midler's The Rose came out. And two friends and I saw that about 9 times. Only because we got to see her kiss a woman.
Oh.
Because you'd never see that in a million years.
Oh, gosh. When I was growing up in the 60s, you certainly would not see same-sex couples on TV. Absolutely not. But even married couples didn't even sleep in the same bed.
So weird.
So weird.
They'd be flipping if they saw what happens now.
Oh, yeah. Like this is, the change has just been radical. Yeah.
I think for children who are young, Mela, like the ages you were saying, if they have a supportive home life, makes, obviously will be everything.
Right.
And help navigate. I do have a really good friend of mine who lives one of my best friends who lives in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Her child transitioned, I won't get the timing right, but went through the whole thing. We talked about them probably being non-binary when they were about 11.
Okay.
And then they went to being a lesbian and then went to realizing, no, I'm trans. Mm-hmm. And he transitioned from she to he. I think in grade 12.
Right.
So was 8, or maybe when he was 18, can't remember.
Right.
Around there. But astoundingly, living in Niagara-on-the-Lake, of all places, there was a school just around there, somewhere outside of it. It's an artsy school full of gay and trans people. So his experience was awesome.
Right.
And I think, how do we get that here?
Right.
How do we get that here? But at the same time, another friend who has 3 sons, this was a while ago because they're all out of high school now. The middle child, I think, had a group of friends who'd been together forever, and there was a girl was in this group of guys and transitioned. When I say transitioned, was not on testosterone yet, but came back and was dressed in the form that he knew he was. Right. And not one of this group of guys had an issue. And this was probably, 8 years ago.
Okay.
And
which is pretty recent.
And I was like, my heart was just like, oh my God, like this is so great. Because no one gives a crap.
Right.
Fabulous. Do I know if Is somewhere in the school? Probably, or maybe, but I think that if anything was said, they would have a group of people to deal with who wouldn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's positivity for that. I think for me, I carried my own fear about someone I love transitioning, about what that could mean for them, like hyper aware.
Right.
Mama bear fear. Mama bear fear. Rather than living in the world this child is living in that is accepting of him. And he's having a good time, but I've got, decades ahead of knowing what can happen. But yeah, I've had decades of knowing what could happen to women. And while it's certainly happened to people I know, it has not happened to everyone I know, or the majority of people I know. And therefore, I have to change my thought process to come from, I'm still going to have my fear. I'm not stupid. That's not going to go away. But to be in a more positive light and live in that place, that things may be tough, that things will come up, but in generally not being Pollyanna about it, there's so much support and resources that he'll be okay. He'll be okay.
That's key, isn't it? Is having a supportive network. Because somehow, you can manage the challenges a little bit easier if you know that you've got a core group of supportive people who accept and love you and are there for you.
And which will also help them be around for people they see struggling. Well,
exactly.
Like when you see people struggling, if you just have the ability to reach out yourself because you've learned how to.
Yeah. Candace, thank you so much for coming on and being so open and with your story and giving us lots of insights. Yeah. So do I say happy Pride to you or does
I take it.
Happy Pride.
You.
Yeah.
Happy Pride right back.
Yeah. So thanks again so much.
Thank you very much.
So we want to remind everybody who's listening, and we keep forgetting too, that we are now on YouTube. So you can listen to this conversation audio only. You can also watch us on YouTube. Conversations with Boomers. That's the YouTube channel, right, Nella?
I think it's What's Next Conversations with Boomers, but I'm
What's
sure
Next Conversations with Boomers.
It'll pop up easily.
Okay.
I love that you had to ask each other what your podcast
was. Well, Nella does. She does.
There's different portals on where you can consume the media, and it's
right.
Which one's which?
So that Mela does all that. So
perfect.
I should know.
What did you name this anyway? Yeah. Also, that we are. This is episode 1 of season 12.
I'm honored.
Yes.
You
are guest of honor.
The guest of honor to launch
Love it.
a brand new season. We can't believe that we've been going this long. Honestly, Candace.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's so great.
How did we get here?
With sheer
And it's just conversations like this.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's like sitting in your living room, but that's exactly what I'm doing. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're excited to now be part of the Super Aging News Network, the most authoritative online source of news, trends, and ideas on longevity and the super aging revolution. Getting older without getting old. Find the link in our show notes and be sure to sign up for their newsletter. This episode is written and created by me, Barb Desmarais. Produced, edited, and engineered by Mela. Many thanks to our guest today for making it possible. And if you enjoyed it as much as we did recording it, follow us on your favorite podcast player. Also, we are now on YouTube at whatsnext.convos with boomers. Thanks for listening.